Well, talking about the Chelsea game was never going to be easy, I didn't think, and I think it's a little bit disappointing. But we'll have to wait and see what you guys think about it as well down in the comment section. Don't forget, if you haven't seen the game versus Chelsea, then go and check it out, and then come back and listen to what I think of the game myself. This is this is one of those games where I didn't think we were going to win it. I thought, I said in my previous video, I didn't think we were going to win it. I thought that we were going to be struggling, and I thought that it was going to be quite difficult for us to get anything out of the game. However, we had played okay in the previous games, the games against Liverpool and things like that. So I wasn't, completely, delusioned with it, disillusioned with everything. But I did think that we were going to be struggling. That, however, was not quite the case early on. I mean, at the beginning of the game in the first half, I thought that we were pressing them really well. We were pressing really high. We were, trying to, get Harry for the ball and get them unsettled and things like that. And I felt that for the first 5-10 minutes we did that. We did, and we actually worked quite hard. And then, obviously, because we were pressing so high, Chelsea were always going to be, risking. There was going to be a risk that Chelsea was going to be pushing us on the break, and they did. And it was very close to being a goal quite early on, about 10 minutes or so. And I felt that at that point, we kind of almost got a little bit scared, because then we started to sit back a little bit more. Wasn't quite pushing forward as much, and kind of got them into the game a bit. They started to then get more of the ball and started to pass it around a bit more, and they had then more of the game than we had for that first 10 minutes. And then, unfortunately, on 13 minutes, it led to the goal from Mudryk. And yeah, it was a good goal from them. Bit disappointed that he was able to get through the middle of our defenders and get on the end of it, but it's what I kind of expected. When the game was progressing, they were starting to get more and more chances, starting to get closer to us, which I thought that was going to be the case. And they did. They scored after 13 minutes from Mudryk. And at that point, I was a little bit concerned that how heads were going to drop and that we were going to be, just sitting back and letting them come at us. But it didn't quite happen like that. We did try to work hard, and we did try to still get involved and push, and chase down the players, which is a good thing. However, it did cross my mind at some point that, doing this quite early on in the game is going to result in us getting tired by the end of it. And we all know that Roy Hodgson doesn't really do substitutions very much, and that did concern me. However, the other thing concerned me was the fact that the last couple of times when we brought on subs, it's actually made things worse. And and all the subs have played okay, they've played well. The players we brought off have actually been players that have played well in the first half or in the first 60 minutes. So it hasn't our substitutions haven't always worked out. So I was a little bit concerned about that as well. But what really did boost me a lot was the fact that Oliso was playing really well. He was trying to get involved. He was trying to make things happen. Ayew was having a really good game as well. He was trying his best to try and make something happen, and trying to take on players. A number of times he took on 2 or 3 players and managed to get out of it. I don't know how he managed to, but he was really playing quite well. And it kind of allowed us to get that goal on 45 minutes just before half time. It was a fantastic chip in by Jordan Ayew, and at the back post Olise was completely unmarked on the back post, and lovely little chest down and first time hit with the left foot into the back of the net. Absolutely wonderful goal. Just epitomises the guy's talent. Olise is a fantastic player, and a great spot from Jordan Ayew as well. Pinpoint accuracy with the pass. So that was a really good thing. And what I want to say just before that, of course, is Chris Richards' tackle, which was one of the old school tackles, a proper tackle. He came in, he got the ball. Yes, he took the player as well, but he got the ball, proper tackle, and that's what led to the goal. And that was really good of Chris Richards. I thought we had another very good game. Not perhaps as good as he is at the back when he's playing in defence, but certainly for us at the moment, a very good, solid performance from him. And so going in at half time 1-1, I was really buoyant. I thought this is really good. Second half, it kind of happened a similar way. We started off really well, started playing quite well, and trying to get things together. As the second half was going on, we seemed to be getting tired, and Chelsea started to then push their advantage a bit more, the fact that they've got a bit more pace than we have and things like that. Because, let's face it, Mateta is not quick. And so, we can't, if you're trying to play on the break, you need somebody quick up front who can get on the ball, and Mateta just can't do that. And yeah, we've got Elise, but it wasn't really working for Mateta. He did try his best, and he had a couple of shots at goal, but it's not really his type of the way he likes to play. So it was always going to be difficult for him. So as the game went on, I thought that it was getting a bit more difficult for us to maintain the level of pushing forward as we were, and we started to give them a bit more possession again, and we started to get back in a bit further and further back as we were getting tired, as we had done in previous games. And that's when, unfortunately, it led to the goal right at the end. Now, this is a bit, I say, controversial. It depends on who you speak to in terms of the fan base. Eze was on from the beginning of the game. He played the whole game. He played the whole 90 minutes. Now, we know that he hasn't been playing for a long time. He's been in and out of the side in terms of he's been a sub most of the time the last few games. But Roy Hodgson said himself he wasn't fully fit when he started coming back into the side. And this game against Chelsea, he just didn't look fit. He looks a little bit off pace. His control wasn't the best in the world. He just wasn't himself, and you could tell that there was something not right. He wasn't fit. And of course, as the game goes on, he's going to get tired because he hasn't played a full 90 for quite a while. And there were some fans who thought that he should have been taken off well before the 89th minute because he was tired, and he'd run his legs out, and he should have been substituted. Some were saying he should have been brought on the second half, shouldn't have started the game. That's horses for courses, really. That's basically whatever you think is the best thing for that. That's your opinion. Personally, I think he probably should have been taken off a little bit earlier. Roy decided to take off Ayew and put Schlupp on, which I think was a bit of a mistake. Schlupp's a good player, but Ayew was really having a good impact on the game and really working hard. And I think that he would probably have been better if he'd have stayed on the pitch and maybe put Schlupp on instead of Eze or something like that, or put Frank on instead of Eze. Let's use the guy. He's on the bench. I think he's not a bad player at all. I think he's actually got a lot of potential. He did come on at one point, but by then it was like 4 or 5 minutes left of the game. He couldn't do anything. He did try to half-hearted shot at the outside of the box, but he didn't really have much to do in terms of getting into the game because he couldn't get into the game at that point. He only had a few minutes left. So Eze on the edge of the box fouled the Chelsea player, and it was a foul. There's no disputing it, really. It was a foul. He stuck his leg out and caught him. Many people are saying it's because he was tired or whatever. I think that, yes, he was tired. I still think it's a mistake. I mean, you can't excuse him for that. You can't say, well, he was tired, so it's different. Yes, it was a bit of a lazy challenge. That's what I think it was more than anything else. It was a lazy challenge. He was tired, and that's why it was a penalty. And it was a penalty. I don't think there's any doubt in that. Roy was a little bit concerned, or a little bit angry, should we say, because he thought that it shouldn't have been a decision that, the referee initially said it wasn't a penalty, and then the VAR came in, asked him to review the footage, and then it was given a penalty. Roy wasn't happy with that. I personally think that it was a penalty, and I think, VAR did its job in that sense, because the referee said it wasn't, or didn't see it as a penalty. VAR assessed it and said it was. And it happens to a lot of teams. It's not the first time it's happened to us. It's happened to many other teams. It was a penalty. I couldn't see any really doubt in it. So, I don't know what Roy was really concerned about there. And of course, that was then converted to make it 2-1 to Chelsea. So it was really, really disappointing, because a point, I think, would have been great for us. I think we put enough work in to get a point out of that game. So I was really disappointed when we didn't get anything from it. However, in terms of the way that we played, we played full of heart again. We played full of determination again, but we just don't have, we don't play, shall we say, with players who can actually get in front of goal and score goals. Mateta is good. He can score goals, but playing him in the way that we were playing him, trying to, get him involved on the breaks and stuff like that, that's very hard for him, because he's not the fastest, and he's a little bit, You know, he tries to get past people. It doesn't always work. So, you know, he's not really that type of player. He's more a player where the ball comes into the box, he does something with it. So running onto the ball, trying to get past players isn't necessarily his strongest thing. We need someone who can do that. Now, França, or Franca, however you want to pronounce it, he, I think, is one of those players who could have done it. Eze, if he had been fit, would probably have done the same sort of thing. So, you know, there's talk whether we should have even played Eze. I think we should have played him at some point. I don't think we should have played him the whole game. There was talk about substitutions. You know, Roy didn't do them early enough, that he should have brought França on and Ozo on earlier and things like that. Again, it's really hard to say, isn't it? Because if they'd have come on and not performed, what would have happened? Or, you know, if it had been a 1-1 draw and or if it looked like a 1-1 draw and we brought those players on and then we had lost, what would have happened then? You know, it's difficult to say. Do we need to have a new manager? Now, I did a poll on the channel, on my YouTube channel. I did a poll on this, and I've also done it on Twitter as well. So if you follow me on Twitter, I do polls on various things as well on there. And I basically asked the question, where do we stand? Is it Roy out or Roy in? And the majority of people, as you would probably expect, is Roy out at the moment. And I have to say, I think that he is, for whatever reason, it's just not working. You know, I think Steve Parish had the idea, similar to what he had before, bring Roy in, save ourselves a bit of money on getting a decent, good young manager, and go through the season like that, and then maybe get somebody else in the new year, well, in the new season. It's not working this time for whatever reason. It's just not working, and we're not getting the results that we need. Yes, we've got injuries, but you know, we're just not playing the way that we should be playing, and we're not playing in the way I think that is going to keep us in the league at the moment. So we need to change something. I think it's going to have to be Roy. He's going to have to go, and we have to bring somebody else in. Let's talk about Steve Cooper. I'm not entirely sure Steve Cooper's the answer. You know, yes, bring him in, give him a try. There isn't really anybody else out there. You know, there are a couple of other players, a couple of other managers who are on the fringes. Bring them in, you know, and I think it's going to have to be sooner rather than later. I know we've only got half the season done, but if it carries on like this, you know, we're slipping down the league here, and we need something to happen to get us back on our feet again. Otherwise, confidence is just going to continue to drop. But will that happen? I'm not entirely sure it will. I think that Parish has faith in Roy Hodgson, even though his record at the moment is as worse, if not worse, than Vieira was when he got sacked. I think Parish has faith in Roy, and I think he doesn't want to push for a new manager because he doesn't want to have to spend the money on a good, decent young manager. I think that's part of it. And also the fact that a good, decent young manager, any decent young manager worth his salt, or even Steve Cooper, they're going to want money for transfers, and he's not going to want to spend money on transfers. So, you know, what's the what can they do to entice a new manager into the club? Yeah, we've got a lot of young players coming through, a lot of good young players, but they're going to want to bring in players with experience to bolster the squad to get us out the trouble that we're in. I'm not sure that Steve Parish is going to want to do that. So that's the situation I think we're in at the moment. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about the current situation at Palace, who you think should be in place of Roy Hodgson, and give me your thoughts on the game against Chelsea as well. Brentford coming up, so that's going to be a game which I hope we're going to be winning. I'm going to be doing another video on Roy's press conference and stuff like that. That's where we stand right now. I'll see you next time.